All right, welcome back. Pull up a chair and grab your notepad. Today, I'm actually stepping out of the host chair and fully into the role of your editor. We're turning this explainer into our own private workshop. Our goal here? We want to elevate your craft from, basic storytelling to profound, resonant art. We're going to draw on some incredible insights from The Sailor's Craft, specifically the Gino's Journal fiction writing lesson series, to really master narrative tension and help you discover your authentic voice.
So let's talk about the caged parrot. This is the very first and honestly the most dangerous trap you're going to face as a writer. When we first start out, it is incredibly tempting to just mimic the greats, right? We parrot their rhythms, their vocabulary, their tropes, mainly because it feels incredibly safe inside that cage. But as your editor, I gotta tell you, safety doesn't make for unforgettable fiction. To master this craft, you literally have to unlock that door and break free.
Here's our syllabus for today's workshop. First, breaking the caged parrot. 2, setting as internal reflection. 3, crossing narrative thresholds. 4, weaving ancestral legacy. And finally, turning fear into song. Let's get right into it.
Part 1, breaking the caged parrot. This is all about a mindset shift.
Let's really look at these two ideas side by side. On one hand, you've got mimicry, the caged parrot. This is writing that leans on cliches, borrowed voices, and predictable structures. Basically, it sounds exactly like a book you've already read. On the other hand, we have our real goal, original authorship. And true original authorship means you have to recognize the comfortable boundaries of your current writing and intentionally step beyond them. It takes a whole lot of vulnerability. You're not just reciting words anymore, you're discovering a voice that is entirely yours. You have to risk sounding totally different to sound genuinely authentic.
Moving on to part 2. Setting as internal reflection, tracking those internal shifts. Okay, so once you start finding that voice, you need a place to actually put your characters. Let's look at a practical case study from the source material. Enter Gino Garcia. Gino's a sailor, but he's dealing with some intense emotional and logistical friction. He's totally caught between two worlds, the rigid, super strict obligations of his naval career and his desperate, burgeoning poetic aspirations. And to make it even messier, he's in this failing relationship with a woman who desperately wants stability, while he is constantly pulled toward his art. Now, as an editor, I look at Gino and see an absolute goldmine of conflict. But we can't just tell the reader about it, right? We have to show it. And we do that using the setting.
This is a brilliant illustration of how setting acts as a mirror for a character's soul. Check out how Gino's environment actually shifts. We start in San Bernardino, which the text defines as a place of bounded possibility. It's restrictive, it's dusty, it's grounded, which perfectly mirrors his rigid naval life and the relationship that's tying him down. But then the setting shifts to Florence, described as luminous stones. Florence isn't just a change of scenery, it's literally the psychological architecture of Gino's awakening. It represents his artistic dreams finally opening up. Your setting should never just be a pretty backdrop. It has to be the external manifestation of your character's internal state. All right, part 3, crossing narrative thresholds. Let's talk about engineering tension. To push characters between these physical and internal states, we have to engineer narrative tension, and we do this using thresholds. Essentially, thresholds are physical or metaphorical spaces that signal powerful narrative transitions and build dramatic tension. Think of a doorway, a border crossing, a delayed train, or even a bridge. When a character approaches a threshold, your reader instinctively knows a choice has to be made. They can't cross back once they take that step forward. Mastering this concept is absolutely crucial. It elevates your subtext and cranks up the conflict without you ever having to spoon-feed it to the reader. Notice how an actual physical location becomes a completely practical tool for this high-stakes resonance. The text uses the example of the 16th Street Bridge. By placing a critical scene right on a bridge, the writer physically suspends the character between where they came from and where they're going. They are literally hanging over the edge. So, if Gino has a huge confrontation on the 16th Street Bridge, the physical danger and the transitional nature of that space completely amplify the emotional stakes of his failing relationship and his artistic desires. You want to use your geography as an actionable strategy to force a transition. Let's look at part 4, weaving ancestral legacy and synthesizing themes. Okay, so now that your characters are moving through meaningful settings and crossing thresholds, let's level up your craft even more. The absolute best fiction doesn't shy away from complex, abstract subjects. As you develop your voice, you have to learn how to synthesize deep concepts into a unified narrative field. We're talking about themes like ancestral legacy, the heavy weight of the generations that came before your character. or hidden identities, the secrets they hide from the world and honestly, sometimes from themselves. And spiritual destiny, that unavoidable pull toward their ultimate purpose. You can't just dump these concepts into an exposition paragraph. You have to weave them right into the logistical friction of the plot. You make Gino's naval obligations a symbol of ancestral legacy and his poetry a grasp at spiritual destiny. Let's break down how this builds into advanced frameworks. The text brings up the tetrad and the fifth frequency. I know, they sound super theoretical, but really just think of them as simple organizational tools. The tetrad just maps the four corners of your character's conflict. So for Gino, that's duty, love, art, and legacy. And the fifth frequency, that's simply the magic that happens when all those conflicts collide and resonate together perfectly. By mapping these elements out, you can organize your story to bridge massive historical gaps, making your character's deeply personal struggle feel mythic and totally universal.
And that brings us to part 5, turning fear into song, the ultimate goal.
This whole process of transforming the raw, messy business of just existing into high art, that is exactly what we're striving for here. So follow these 4 actionable steps. Step 1, confront raw experience. Look at your own life, your own pain, your own joy, and do not look away. Step 2, establish the logistical friction. Ground that raw experience in the real world, exactly like Gino's struggle with the Navy and his partner. Step 3, implement purposeful revision. You're never going to get it right the first time. As your editor, I'm telling you, revise, refine, and sharpen the prose until that subtext shines. And finally, step 4, turn fear into song. Take the things that absolutely scare you the most and craft them into a narrative so powerfully structured that it literally sings to the reader. So, I'm going to leave you with this provocative question for your homework. What raw experience are you hiding from right now, and how are you going to use it to bridge your own historical gaps? It is time to stop hiding in the cage. Apply what we talked about today, use your settings, cross those thresholds, weave in those heavy themes, and finally unleash your authentic literary voice. I absolutely cannot wait to read what you write next.
Why do some fictional arguments feel profound, while others sound like unearned yelling? We find the answer in layered construction, a way to build conflict that feels both human and inevitable. Take the case of Gino and Veronica. After a whirlwind romance, their relationship hits a deadline. Gino is a sailor, and the military has provided him 6 years of order, income, and purpose. Now his re-enlistment date is approaching. Before a single word of conflict is spoken, we map out their core values. Veronica needs roots and family in Mexico. Gino needs personal identity and freedom from a rigid structure. High-stakes conflict requires assigning 2 equally understandable, yet entirely incompatible goals to your characters. When both people are right, there is no easy way out for the audience. The pressure shifts from theory to reality when Veronica reveals she is pregnant. They are forced to decide their future right here, against the backdrop of San Diego. Veronica's objective is grounded. She wants to cross the border to Ensenada, building a home close to her family so she doesn't have to raise a child alone during Gino's absences. Gino wants a different kind of life. If he leaves the Navy, he wants to go to Florence, Italy, to attend art school and discover who he is when he isn't following someone else's map. Look how these goals actively repel each other. Gino asks, "Why is your dream practical and mine selfish?" Veronica counters, "This is about what happens after the baby is born. Who is there? Who stays?" By making both characters' dreams valid, the writer traps the audience in a scenario where love cannot prevent the fracture. You can heighten this tension by using the physical environment as an emotional mirror. Their early romance was defined by open windows and loud radios. Now the room around them begins to close in. Pay attention to the sensory details. The street noise rises in restless waves, an old fan clicks in the corridor, and the walls hum after a door slams. These details force the reader to feel the character's suffocating anxiety. When Gino escapes north, the setting shifts. San Francisco is wet, restless, and half-imagined, a mirror for his own unfinished internal state. A scene's physical environment must do heavy lifting. If the setting doesn't heighten the emotional stakes, it is wasted space. Masters of fiction use subtext. Novices have characters state exactly how they feel. Masters have characters bury their emotions beneath tangential arguments. Gino argues about Florence and art school, but his dialogue contains a hidden fear. Saying he won't follow someone else's map masks a terror of family commitment. Try writing a line for Veronica without explicit emotion words. The execution: I'm allowed to hear you say Italy and understand that what you really mean is not us. When characters are forced to decode each other's hidden meanings, the emotional blow hits with twice the force of plain exposition. The scene ends with an irreversible action. Veronica leaves. A well-built conflict results in a permanent fracture, leaving the characters in a new, often lonelier reality. To build your own scenes, follow this blueprint. First, anchor the motivations with incompatible desires. Second, mirror the mood using sensory details. Third, bury the emotion by arguing the surface while meaning the subtext. Apply this blueprint to your own stuck scenes. Breathtaking emotional fiction is a matter of architectural precision, not just inspiration.
Fiction writing lesson: building conflict, character, and emotional impact. Gino's Journal, 1979. Veronica's breakup. Veronica met Gino at a seaside cafe in San Diego on a windy afternoon when the tide was high and the gulls kept swooping low over the patio rail. He was on leave from the Navy. She was visiting friends for the weekend. They started talking over coffee, then stayed through sunset, and by the time the lights came on along the boardwalk, both felt the dangerous ease of being understood too quickly. A week later, they drove to Ensenada with the windows down and the radio too loud, laughing as if the future were something they could invent together. By late summer, Gino's re-enlistment date hung over them like a deadline neither of them knew how to speak around. Veronica loved the steadiness in him, the way duty seemed to give his life shape, but she could not pretend the military life fit the future she wanted. She had grown up in a close-knit family in Mexico, where doors were rarely closed and no one carried joy or grief alone. She wanted a home with roots. She wanted mornings that belonged to the same kitchen, the same table, the same people. The thought of building a life out of departures and brief returns filled her with a quiet dread she could no longer ignore. One warm evening, they sat on Veronica's balcony while the city noise rose from the street below in soft, restless waves. She had rehearsed the conversation for days, but when she finally turned to him, every version she had prepared disappeared. "Gino," she said, folding her hands together so he would not see them shake, "we need to talk about what happens next." He glanced at her, already alert to the strain in her voice. "What is it?" She reached for his hand. "I'm pregnant." She kept hold of his hand when he went still. "I want us to be together," she said. "I don't want to spend our life waiting for shore leave or counting down the months until you come back. We could build something real in Mexico. We could start over there, close to my family. We could make a home before this baby arrives." Gino lowered his eyes to their joined hands. The Navy had given him 6 years of order, income, and purpose. It had made him feel legible to himself. Leaving it would mean stepping into a life without the one structure he trusted, and he did not know whether love was enough to steady that kind of fall.
"I don't know if I can do that," he said at last. "The Navy has been my whole adult life."
Veronica looked out over the street, blinking hard before she met his eyes again. "I'm not asking you to throw your life away," she said. "I'm asking you to choose a life with me in it. A real one. Not one where I raise our child around your absences." Her voice stayed soft, but the hurt in it made him look away. Between them, the night air suddenly felt thinner. Over the next several days, they moved around the question without settling it. Veronica replayed the conversation each night, searching for his silences for hope. Gino kept telling himself he needed time, but time only sharpened the divide. The more he imagined surrendering one future, the more fiercely the other called to him. When he finally came back to her apartment, the sky was turning orange over the buildings, and Veronica knew from the set of his shoulders that he had decided. He sat beside her on the couch and took a breath that seemed to scrape on the way in.
"I've been thinking about everything you said,"
he began. "I love you. I do. But if I leave the Navy, I do not want to go to Mexico. I want to go to Italy. I want Florence. I want art school. I want to see who I am when I'm not following someone else's map." Veronica stared at him. "Italy?" she said. "We're talking about a baby, Gino. About us. And you're talking about Florence like nothing else exists." He flinched. "That's not fair." "Isn't it? You can find work in San Diego. We can be close to my family in Ensenada. We can build something here." He stood and paced toward the balcony doors. "Why is your dream practical and mine selfish?" he asked. "Why does your version of our future get to be the only version?" "Because this isn't only about dreams anymore," Veronica said, rising to face him. "This is about what happens after the baby is born. Who is there? Who stays?" He dragged a hand through his hair. "I am allowed to want a life that feels like mine." "And I'm allowed to be afraid," she shot back. "I'm allowed to hear you say Italy and understand that what you really mean is not us." That landed harder than anything else she had said. For a moment, he did not answer. The room went still, except for the traffic below and the old fan clicking in the corner. Veronica stood near the door with both arms wrapped around herself, as if holding her body together required effort. Gino sat back down on the edge of the couch and leaned forward, his elbows on his knees, staring at the floorboards. He wanted to say that he loved her, that he was scared, that he had never meant for his future to sound like an abandonment, but every sentence he tested in his mind felt smaller than the damage already done. When she finally spoke, her voice was low and exhausted rather than loud. "I can't keep begging for a future you don't actually want," she said. "I'm tired of trying to make your leaving sound romantic. Workshop text you can return to whenever you want to sharpen your craft." A poem and love ballad, based on the story of Gino and Veronica. Love poem. My love, you came as morning comes to rose, with tender light upon a waiting sky, and where your gentle hand in silence goes, the weary heart remembers how to fly. Your voice is like a hymn at eventide, a soft and golden answer to my prayer, and all the restless shadows I would hide grow strangely beautiful when you are there. I know no jewel that with your gaze can shine, no summer star more faithful or more bright, for heaven seems to lean into your eyes and bless the earth with its most sacred light. If time should fade the bloom from field and tree, if winter dim the song of brook and dove, still would my soul, unshaken, turn to thee, and call your cherished name in endless love. For you are all the sweetness life can prove, the dream long kept, the grace I had not known, and if this world holds any truth called love, it lives in this, my heart is yours alone. Love ballad intro. When morning touched the silent rose, I saw your light appear, and all the world I used to know grew softer with you near. Verse 1. You came to me like golden dawn across a waiting sky, and where your gentle hands would rest, my restless heart could fly. Your voice became an evening hymn, a blessing soft and bright, and every shadow in my soul turned beautiful in your light. Chorus. Oh, stay with me through summer stars, through winter's fading flame. If all the world should change its face, my heart will speak your name. For you are all my sweetest truth, the dream I journeyed for, and if love lives in any heart, then mine is forever yours. Verse 2. No jewel could ever hold the fire I find within your eyes. No faithful star above the earth could shine with such surprise. And if the bloom should leave the field, if songs no longer soar, my soul would still return to you and love you all the more. Chorus. Oh, stay with me through summer stars, through winter's fading flame. If all the world should change its face, my heart will speak your name. For you are all my sweetest truth, the dream I journeyed for, and if love lives in any heart, then mine is forever yours. Bridge. Let time be slow, let night be long, let years undo the day. Still I would cross the dark for you, and never turn away. For grace was only just a word, until you made it true, and every prayer I could not speak found its answer, love in you. Final chorus. So stay with me through summer stars, through winter's silver flame. Though worlds may fade and seasons turn, my heart will keep your name. For you are all my sweetest truth, the dream I journeyed for, and if love lives in any heart, then mine is forever yours. Outro. When morning finds the rose again, and light returns once more, I will be here, and I will say, my heart is yours, my heart is yours.
and all the world I used to know grew softer with you near. You came to me like golden dawn across a waiting sky, and where your gentle hands would rest, my restless heart could fly. Your voice became an evening hymn, a blessing soft and bright, and every shadow in my soul turned beautiful in your light. Oh, stay with me through summer stars, through winter's fading flame. If all the world should change its face, my heart will speak your name. For you are all my sweetest truth, the dream I journeyed for. And if love lives in any heart, then mine is forever yours. No jewel could ever hold the fire I find within your eyes. No faithful star above the earth could shine with such surprise. And if the bloom should leave the field, if songs no longer soar, my soul would still return to you and love you all the more. Stay with me through summer stars, through winter's fading flame. If all the world should change its face, my heart will speak your name. For you are all my sweetest truth, the dream I journeyed for. And if love lives in any heart, then mine is forever yours. Let time be slow, let night be long, let years undo the day. Still I would cross the dark for you and never turn away. For grace was only just a word until you made it true. And every prayer I could not speak found its answer, love, in you. So stay with me through summer stars, through winter's silver flame. Though worlds may fade and seasons turn, my heart will keep your name. For you're all then mine is forever yours. When morning finds the rose again, and light returns once more, I will be here, and I will say, my heart is yours, my heart is yours.